Welcome, eco warriors and sustainability champions. Today, we're excited to introduce you to the Illinois Recycling Foundation's latest initiative, our Lunch and Learn webinar series. First, let's talk about who we are. The Illinois Recycling Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting recycling and sustainable waste management practices across our great state. Our mission is crucial in today's world, where environmental concerns are more pressing than ever. Why should you consider becoming a member or donating to our foundation? Simple. Your support directly contributes to a cleaner, greener Illinois. As a member, you'll be part of a community committed to positive environmental change. Your donations help fund our educational programs, communication outreach, and research initiatives. Together, we can make a real difference in reducing waste and promoting sustainability. Now, let's dive into our exciting new webinar series. At the Illinois Recycling Foundation, we believe that education is key to creating lasting change. That's why we're committed to not only educating our members, but also the general public about crucial environmental issues. Our first webinar focuses on campus sustainability, a topic that's more relevant than ever as we strive to create eco-friendly learning environments for future generations. We'll be exploring innovative strategies, success stories, and practical tips for making our educational institutions more sustainable. We understand that in today's fast-paced world, finding time for professional development can be challenging. That's why we've designed our Lunch and Learn series to fit seamlessly into your busy schedule. These webinars are informal, allowing you to join during your lunch break and gain valuable insights without disrupting your workday. And here's the best part. We know you're busy professionals, so feel free to multitask. If you need to eat your lunch while listening in, go right ahead. Our goal is to make learning about sustainability as convenient and accessible as possible. So, whether you're a dedicated environmentalist or someone just starting their sustainability journey, our Lunch and Learn webinars are perfect for you. Today, we hope to expand your knowledge, connect with like-minded individuals, and discover how you can contribute to a more sustainable future. Today's Lunch and Learn opportunity is to learn, grow, and make a difference, all during your lunch break. Now, it is our pleasure to introduce the president of the Illinois Recycling Foundation, Claire Ryan. Claire.
Wonderful, thank you. And just give me a second to share my screen. Hopefully you are seeing just a couple slides I have to more personally introduce the Illinois Recycling Foundation. So welcome, thank you so much for coming to our first Lunch and Learn on campus sustainability. Just a fun fact, Yosemite National Park was created by Congress in 1890 on this day. So what an auspicious day it is. Again, just a little bit more background on the Illinois Recycling Foundation. We are a 501c3 organization that serves as a collective voice on recycling in Illinois, with a mission to provide education and networking around waste reduction, material reuse, and recycling. We do have a sister organization, the IRA, Recycling Association, that is the kind of political advocacy arm, which is equally important, as a lot of recycling is driven by policy. Just on the left there, you can see our board of directors. I do just want to acknowledge our executive director, Nathan, who put quite a lot of work into pulling this together, our vice president, Gina Peshek, treasurer, Aaron Harmon, and our secretary, Anthony Tyndall, from Cook County. This Lunch and Learn was really his brainchild, so thanks, Anthony. And of course, I always want to thank our benefactor members as well. They really help make our mission a reality. Those are GDB International, a latex paint recycler down in Nashville, Illinois. Helping Hands, clothing and textile recycler up in our area, and then Alta Equipment Company as well. So thank you. And kind of a preview, we don't have our 2025 membership information up yet, but it will be starting soon this fall. We have a fairly diverse membership base, including for-profit businesses, local governments, nonprofits, and obviously most relevant to this audience, educational institutions and students as well, and any other individuals with interest in waste reduction, reuse, and recycling. I did want to point out our student membership only costs $25 for the year. We know students face a lot of rising costs, so we want to keep it super affordable. It can be a nice thing to put on a resume. And it's also can be a way to help get a job as well for students just starting out. We are looking to kind of boost what we're doing on LinkedIn in the coming year. So hopefully that'll be really valuable to folks looking for jobs in the industry. And then on the institutional side, the dues for that will be about $200 for the year, and it includes benefits for two people that could be staff or faculty of an institution. And just a quick look at the benefits of being a member. You'll receive our monthly e-newsletter all year long. You can post jobs if your institution has relevant jobs for free, but also look for jobs if you're a student, as I mentioned. We highlight a member in the newsletter once a month, and we're happy to spread it out and have an educational institution, be a highlighted member. There's a discount on our conference registration. We will be having an annual conference in 2025. Webinars such as this one will always be free for our members. Engagement and leadership opportunities, and also it includes representation and membership to the National Recycling Coalition, which is essentially a nationwide coalition of organizations like ours. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Nathan to introduce our panelists for today.
All right, thank you so much, Claire, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nathan Mihelich, Executive Director of the Illinois Recycling Foundation. I'm really excited and thrilled to see so many of you here today on our first Lunch and Learn webinar. Before we dive into our topic, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our esteemed panelists and set a couple ground rules for our webinar this afternoon. Let me first introduce our speakers. Megan Conway is Sustainability Manager from the Office of Sustainability at Loyola University in Chicago. Megan brings a wealth of experience in implementing sustainability practices in an urban campus setting. And Liz Bossarge, I hope I'm getting that right, Liz, Zero Waste Program Director from Planning, Sustainability, and Project Management at the University of Illinois, Chicago. Liz is at the forefront of developing comprehensive zero waste strategies for large educational institutions. Both Megan and Liz are esteemed leaders in their field, and we are very fortunate to have them share their insights with us today. Now, let me go over just a couple of housekeeping items to ensure a smooth webinar. This is informal lunch and learn session. We understand that many of you are joining us from your lunch break, so please feel free to eat, pay attention, multitask, do other things. You don't have to turn your video on if you don't want to, so that's always helpful. But we do want you to listen in and try to get as much education out of this as you possibly can. We will have a question and answer session at the very end after both presentations, but as you are listening and you're thinking of questions, please use the Q&A feature, and I'll be monitoring both the Q&A and the chat, and I'll present our panelists with your questions if you do type them in. And if you do experience any technical difficulties, you can please put that in the chat as well, and we will reach out. There will be a recording of this session, and it will be placed on the IRF website within a couple days of today's webinar. So remember, whether you're just starting your sustainability journey or looking to enhance existing initiatives, today's webinar hopes to offer practical experience and inspiring ideas so you can take back to your campus or your workplace. So without further ado, let's begin our exploration of campus sustainability. Liz, I have you up first. Would you like to start us off?
I certainly can. Thank you so much for letting me be here today. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you all today. I am going to share a screen. And can everyone see that? Excellent. All right, so I'll get us started. My name is Liz Bossarge. I am the Zero Waste Program Director for UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago. To put our campus into context, We're located in the near West Side community area of Chicago. We have over 33,000 students enrolled in 16 academic colleges. We have over 9,000 faculty and staff. We occupy 244 acres. We have 178 buildings that includes 15 million square feet. We are the largest university in the Chicago metropolitan area, and we are the only public Research One institution in Chicago. A little bit about our sustainability history at UIC. We began our recycling program back in 1990, following the 1986 Solid Waste Management Act, which I know everyone is familiar with and has read at least a few times. In 2008, UIC formed an Office of Sustainability, and we developed our first climate action plan in 2009. In 2016, our chancellor approved the UIC climate commitments, which are to be carbon neutral, zero waste, net zero water, biodiverse, and then our fifth one, which was added just last year, is for transformative scholarship. In 2018, we did an update to our climate action plan, and we called it the Climate Action Implementation Plan to take it a step further and get people more involved in actually working on the goals that we had set. And then there was also the plan to update it every 5 years. So that brings us to today, where we are updating our Climate Action Implementation Plan. We worked with the support of Brailsford and Dunleavy, which is a consultancy firm who especially helped us with the modeling of future carbon reduction planning. And my supervisor, Andy Mitchell, is in the audience and can answer more questions about energy reduction and buildings. I'm definitely more conversant in our zero waste strategies. So if you want to ask questions later, he can answer those. But we are in the final stages of updating our plan, and there's a public comment period that's open until Tuesday, October 8th. So if you're still able to see my screen here, this is what our landing page looks like for our 2024 Climate Commitment Action Plan. If you scroll down here to view the plan, it'll take you to this document here. And then, of course, my favorite section is anything related to zero waste. And I do want to take a couple more minutes to share more about our solid waste, our zero waste goal and solid waste goals. At UIC, we're a little bit unique. We have dual stream recycling in front of house, and then back of house, we have 3 recycling streams. So front of house, we have a bin for bottles and cans. We also call it glass, metal, plastic. And then another bin that collects paper. And then we ask people to collapse their cardboard, tuck it behind their bin. And then back of house, that becomes 3 streams, 1 for bottles and cans, 1 for paper, 1 for cardboard. And so we have a dedicated truck for each of those streams, which I think is also kind of unique for a university, especially in an urban setting. This having dual stream recycling front of house and 3 back of house, it helps us keep our recycling a little bit cleaner, since we don't have half-filled beverage cups contaminating our really clean paper. And we actually do sell our paper and cardboard. So we get a little bit of revenue back. It's not enough to support the program entirely, but it does help offset some of the costs from having that program. We recycle a lot at UIC. Our recycling rate is still around like 26%, but we do recycle a lot of various streams. So as I mentioned, we do glass, paper, metal, plastics. We also compost landscape waste and food scraps at 4 locations. We also have shredded paper for sensitive and confidential documents. We recycle batteries. We do pens and markers, plastic bags and plastic film, toner and ink cartridges, pipette tip boxes, which are really common in our labs, since we are a Research One university. Also select single-use medical devices at our hospital. We recycle light bulbs, used cooking oil, and then most recently we started collecting styrofoam at 2 locations, and that is picked up by the Cook County Charm Center whenever we kind of hit capacity on holding on to that. And then we also have some reuse programs. So we have a free store for our Great Stuff Exchange, which is mostly office supplies. And then we also have another sister program for lab equipment that can be recirculated within UIC for labs that are just starting up, just got their grant funding, and they need equipment. Looking forward in zero waste, what are we working on, looking towards? Primarily expanding our composting collection. So we currently only compost about 1% of our MSW, which comes out to about 75 tons annually. But based on our most recent campus-wide waste audit in 2019, nearly 35% of what we're currently landfilling is actually compostable. And we're not capturing the vast majority of that. So in response to that, we were able to work on the new dining contract that the campus just started under. And the new vendor has been a very good partner so far. They are removing all plastic water bottles from campus and switching to aluminum water bottles, which is very exciting. Our catering operation has started composting, and then they're also going to be piloting a post-consumer composting, like scrape your plate program in the primary dining hall. And if it's successful, they'll expand it to the other dining hall as well. This past May, when students were moving out, we collected donated dorm supplies and clothing, about 2.5 tons of it. And then we gave it away, it's October now, so we gave it away in August to 850 students, along with office supplies that offices have donated throughout the year. So that's all I'm going to share now. And I think we'll take questions after Megan goes.
All right. So thank you so much, Liz, for that. And if there are any questions, definitely put them in the chat or in the Q&A. And next we'll hear from Megan at Loyola University in Chicago.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen okay? Great, thank you. My name is Megan Conway, and I'm the Sustainability Manager at Loyola University Chicago. Thanks so much for the invitation to join this Lunch and Learn today. I'm excited to share a bit about what we're up to at Loyola, and it was great to hear from Liz about what's happening at UIC, and hope to hear from some other folks about what's going on at other Illinois campuses as well. So to set the stage, Loyola is a private Jesuit university, and we're located in Chicago. We have three main campuses, the Lakeshore campus, which is the primary residential undergraduate campus in Rogers Park, Water Tower campus, which houses several of the professional graduate schools and Arrupe College, and the Health Sciences campus, which is home to the medical school, School of Nursing, and other health-related programs, and is co-located with a hospital in Maywood, Illinois. We have about 17,000 students across those three campuses and around 4,000 employees. And sustainability is a really important value to Loyola as an institution. This is for a lot of reasons, like cost savings, risk mitigation, but these two factors are really the key to the decision to commit to and invest in sustainability. The first is that sustainability and climate action are directly linked to the university's mission of social justice and Jesuit identity. Care for the environment, referred to as kind of our common home in the Jesuit parlance, is one of the four universal apostolic preferences. Pope Francis has called for climate action in the Laudato Si encyclical, and the negative impacts of pollution and climate change are going to disproportionately impact the most vulnerable populations. So action to mitigate that is right in line with Loyola's social justice mission. The second factor is that sustainability is a major priority for our students. And this graph is tiny print, probably a little hard to read, but this is a survey question that goes out to all students who submit a deposit to come to Loyola, ranking a bunch of different factors on how they made this, life-changing decision on where to go to college. In the most recent year, 57.1% said that Loyola's commitment to sustainability is either important or very important in their decision to where to go to college. So that is more than just our environmental science students. That's more than just the folks who want to move into a career in this field. This is really a majority of our student body. So we take that value of our students really seriously and want to live up to that and make sure that we are walking the walk when it comes to our physical spaces and as well as the culture and the academics here at Loyola. So one of the ways that Loyola approached meeting the demand from both kind of students and mission was by creating the Office of Sustainability, where I work. We're housed within the School of Environmental Sustainability as an academic unit, but also get to act as a resource for all of Loyola's campuses and schools and operational units to help ensure that our physical spaces are as environmentally friendly as possible, that we are incorporating sustainability into the curriculum and academic experience for all students, regardless of their degree, and that we have resources and programs and events to support a culture of sustainability for all students and employees. One of the North Stars for sustainability at Loyola for the past decade has been our Climate Action Plan that was passed in 2015 and set a goal of carbon neutrality for our Scope 1 and 2, or directly controlled emissions, by 2025. And thanks to significant effort from the facilities and capital planning team and a solar energy procurement agreement that we announced last year, we are on track to meet those goals by next year, by just a couple of months from now. We are also already deep in the process for our next climate action plan to make sure that Loyola continues to push forward to full decarbonization on all of our campuses and addresses the remaining Scope 3 or indirect emissions from our operations. So now, shifting gears a little bit, I'm going to talk about some of the materials management and waste reduction programs. Loyola works with LRS as our hauler for landfill, recycling, and organic waste for composting. And this chart has our monthly generation for those 3 streams from our 3 primary campuses combined. Our diversion rate has been pretty consistently close to 45% over the past several years. And we work with LRS to both kind of improve the accuracy of these tracking numbers, which is always a challenge, and also right-size the level of service that we have for these streams. And these are very corny comparisons, but I always give these to our students to help visualize kind of what quantity of material that we're talking about. So every year we send almost 1,400 tons of materials to landfills from our campuses, which could be imagined as 12 times the weight of the bean sculpture in Millennium Park. We recycle over 800 tons of things like paper, cardboard, metals, and plastics, which is around the weight of 30 CTA train cars. And we compost nearly 300 tons of organic waste every year, which would equal about 150,000 deep dish pizzas, which is my corniest one. So while these are very significant numbers, we do have several initiatives to reduce the overall generation of materials on our campuses, as well as boost diversion from landfills. We have a very robust organic waste diversion program in our dining halls, where all of the pre-consumer food scraps, like eggshells, chicken bones, other items generated in food preparation, are separated for composting, as well as everything that is left on a plate after a student is finished eating. And that program in all the dining halls in our Chicago campuses is where the vast majority of the 300 tons of organic waste comes from. But we also have opportunities for others to directly participate in our compost program through a bucket program for students, employees, paper towel composting and shared restrooms, and opportunities to include organic waste collection for composting, which is staffed by volunteers at catered events on campus. Also from our dining halls, Liz mentioned this as well, used cooking oil is taken to the biodiesel lab here at the Lakeshore campus to become biodiesel that's used in our shuttles, and biosoap, which is used on our campuses, which is a great sort of applied chemistry opportunity for students as well. We have lots of regular trainings and programming around waste, including a waste week in February every year, and a program with athletics, where every volleyball and basketball game in our Gentile Arena has zero waste stations staffed with students acting as ambassadors for sustainability. Another project we're working on now is standardizing all of our landfill and recycling bins and signage across all campuses to make sure that those systems are consistent and clear for users. And one part of that project is replacing the bins that have paper only or bottles and cans to clarify that we have single stream mixed recycling, which is different from what Liz has at UIC, and avoid some of the confusion for folks using our bins with some of those more outdated systems. A few other programs I wanted to quickly mention. We have a student-run center for hard to recycle materials on our Lakeshore campus, where we can accept things like plastic film, disposable face masks, like toothpaste tubes and other items that we want to keep out of our regular recycling stream as contamination, but have identified an alternative reuse or recycling option. We manage a big move-out donation program for items like clothing, shoes, unopened food and toiletries, and other items from students leaving our residence halls over the summer. Last spring, we partnered with around 15 organizations to receive these over 11,000 pounds of items that are sorted and weighed by students and volunteers. And we also work with our Residence Life department to set aside the very dorm-specific items like bed risers or the wall mirrors that everyone buys from Target on the first day of school, and set up a reuse market during move-in where new students can pick up these items for free and help reduce what is being purchased new and brought onto our campus in the first place. I don't want to take up too much time, so I won't go through all of these, but one more thing I did want to share was our zero waste and sustainable materials management plan. So we have a draft plan that we are really excited about that is currently under review from leadership in the finance and facilities departments that we will hopefully be able to share by the end of the calendar year. We were very fortunate to work with the Illinois Sustainable Technology Center and Zach, who I see is in the group today, to conduct a multi-campus waste audit in April of this year that gave us really fantastic data to combine with a review of our current processes and stakeholder engagement to come up with some very ambitious goals and recommendations to reach those goals in both the short and long term. So we're waiting on the final sign off for those goals, but I will share that I'm excited that we have prioritized a source reduction goal, looking at pounds per weighted campus user as sort of the main target, with a secondary diversion goal through recycling and composting after that. And finally, this slide has some of the current programs that my office and our team of really great student workers offers to help build sustainability across kind of our campus curriculum and culture, those 3 pillars. And I'm happy to share these slides. I sent them over to Nathan and he can distribute them in my contact information if there's anything that anyone would like to learn more about after our discussion today. And thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. I really I appreciated the references to food and to the bean, of course, in terms of weight of your recycling. So that was very interesting. So it's time to open it up for questions for the group. If you would like to ask either of our 2 panelists a question, please feel free to unmute your microphone and turn on your camera if you'd like. It's not required, however. But if you would like to ask a question via audio or video, just if you could use the raise your hand feature, that way we know that way we know to bring you on board and get you in the queue. There was a couple questions in the chat. Liz, I see you did answer one via text, but would you like to just elaborate on that one for the entire group?
Sure, yeah. So we, the first question was about transitioning from beverages in plastic to beverages in aluminum. And I want to clarify, it was just for water. So we still offer we are a Pepsi campus, so we have a contract with Pepsi. So all of those Pepsi products are still offered in plastic beverage containers, except for the water. So our water, our Aquafina water is now offered in aluminum bottles with a reclosable screw top lid. So that was really exciting. It just took the new dining contract to make that transition. We've had a landfill waste reduction policy as one of the UIC policies since 2019. It was approved by our chancellor, but enforcement, this is recorded, but we haven't really done much enforcement. So having the new contract really helped in making this more of a reality. However, departments can still purchase bottled water if they do it through their our internal purchasing platform, or if they use their department credit card. And there's not a lot we can do about that right now. And then there was another question. Should I go ahead and answer the next question?
Please.
All right. So Anthony had asked about having student groups that help in implementing some of our goals, what our recruitment strategy is, if they're part of a class, and if we offer an internship program. So yes, we do have the Sustainability Internship Program. It's a program we've had for about 10 years. Initially, it was just offered as a class where they get course credit. We added a summer paid component. And so every spring it's offered as a class. And then if they do well in the class, then usually those students are offered a paid position through the summer and ongoing as their projects continue. We also do work with some student groups. So one of them is the Food Recovery Network, which is a national organization. Loyola also has a really robust chapter, and it's student volunteers that take food that's been prepared but not served from dining halls, and then they bring it to a shelter or someplace where it's needed and used. So for us, we have 2 student centers. So it's taken from those 2 student centers and our hospital. And we take it to the Franciscan House Homeless Shelter, which is only a mile from campus. And it feeds over 200 people a day every time we bring it. We also partner with Rush too, because the Rush Hospital is just down the street from us, and our students pick up food from there as well. So we do that 5 days a week. I shouldn't say we, it's the students. The students do that Monday through Friday. And then, we also work with some classes. So there's a business class where part of what the students have to do is a service project. So we've really done some cool projects with them, including the bottle refill stations, documenting where all of those are on campus and how many refills they have, because those eventually pay for themselves. So finding out, where those are located and how many refills has been exciting to look at over time. We looked at pollinators on campus in our native gardens. We also have done looking at our recycle bins, how effective our bins are. Students are organizing a clothing swap this semester. They're also working on a social marketing campaign for recycling. So thank you, EPA, for sharing information on social marketing. So we're doing some exciting things. And our Eco Volunteers program, which we call on whenever we do like a zero waste event, or we have a tree planting event or native planting event.
All right, I don't see any other questions in the chat. Is there anyone that would like to ask one of our 2 experts another question? Or I know that there are several of you from other campuses throughout Illinois. Would you like to share some of the things that you're doing at your particular campus, or even at your workplace? We have a little bit of time. We'll happily hear you share.
I see Zach has his hand up.
See there. There I am. Hey, Megan. Hey, Liz. Thanks a lot. I have a question that I was hoping you all could share with the group on what are some of the strategies or tactics you use to engage with maybe some of the other departments on campus, like purchasing or custodial or, food service. What are some of like the talking points that are most useful? Is it always, price that you come in with, or yeah, what are some of the ways that you talk to them about zero waste?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can go first and then pass it off to you, Liz. Sounds good. We are very fortunate at Loyola that we have some buy-in from administration in connection to social justice, and sustainability has been highlighted in university strategic plans. So we have, definitely a few steps ahead, which would not be able to make the progress that we've made on our campuses without that committed buy-in from our leadership. So that is always really helpful. And also, I mentioned that we're kind of housed within an academic unit, which is really helpful for connections with researchers and students and faculty, and building some of those bridges with sustainability across the curriculum initiatives. But we also kind of co-report up through our facilities department, which helps with things like our power purchase agreement and energy efficiency and our landscaping and stormwater management. So I think the way that we're situated is beneficial. And then leading on some of those structures, like the fact that we have a connection with students, we can, see that something is a priority or a value for students, and then elevate that to a student development office or other group that's prioritizing what students are wanting to see. Cost effectiveness is definitely a big piece of it. We've recently been working a lot with our HR department to help do a series of professional development webinars related to sustainability for things like tax credits available for EV purchasing and solar options for what is on your home for employees, and making connections to some of the work that groups like the Society or Human Resource Managers, I know it's SHRM, but I could have the acronym wrong, that have really been showing that sustainability is a great way for employers to boost retention amongst employees, and kind of seeing connections to benefits and work-life balance. So that's just a few ways that we've tried to just take advantage of the structures that are available to us and spread those conversations much further beyond just the School of Environmental Sustainability or the folks kind of directly working behind the scenes on our campus.
So for us, I don't think we have as much top-down as Loyola has for like that mission, but we do have a new chancellor that's very bought into sustainability, and definitely looking forward to seeing us do more in sustainability, which is very exciting. For our campus, we often do have to make an economic case for sustainability, show the ROI. I feel like that's mostly very much true in energy. And sometimes in our building services. So we're looking at reducing single-use materials with reusables, in large part because there is an ROI. There's a cost savings involved in that. But some departments, they'll just do it because it's part of their mission. So for our hospital, in our hospital kitchen, they started doing composting and food recovery because it integrates well with their overall mission for community health. And community partnerships. We also have our Chancellor's Committee for Sustainability and Energy, which is, this committee has been in existence for about 15 years, and it has folks from all, maybe not all departments, but several departments on campus where we have, thought leaders and implementers who can really speak to these issues and talk about how, what are the barriers to our various goals and what are the ways around those barriers. So yeah.
Let's do one more question from the chat. And then I see someone has their hand up, so we'll just kind of ping pong. But this one follows up on the last question. So do either of your campuses have green training programs geared towards faculty or staff? And can you tell us just a little about those?
Yeah, so I mentioned the HR program that we have, which is around the second year, which has been really great, just to kind of build that. We do 3 per semester. That's something that folks are starting to know that that's coming, which is exciting to have that built-in partnership with HR. We also work with some of our faculty support departments. We recently have had a Sustainability Scholars Program, which is a faculty research stipend to think about sustainability resources related to teaching and pedagogy. So that's been exciting. We would like to have more kind of robust sustainability across the curriculum resources here. So that's something that we've leaned on other universities, like Santa Clara is one. That has a really great workshop for faculty for incorporating sustainability in business schools or English departments. So that's something that we've been really excited to see. And then I saw Andy's question on what have we seen in contamination levels for outdoor recycling bins. And I pulled it up because we have the exact numbers, thanks to Zach and his team. The on-the-go bins are certainly pretty contaminated. Let's see. We're probably at like a 70% contamination rate for outdoor big bins. So that is a challenge, to be sure. And we've been thinking about messaging like wraps for our big bellies. We've been, there's a high demand for having more accessible organic bins, especially ones outside. And that's something that we've been really conservative about, keeping that very back of house for that increased contamination risk. So I know Zach's team suggested looking at an option for like a code protected outdoor big belly for organics, and something that you would have to opt into and watch a training and kind of be a step removed from someone just walking by and throwing something. So yeah, very high contamination on those outdoor bins, but we're doing a bit better on the inside of our buildings.
Megan, we're about where you're at too for contamination on the big bellies. So I feel
really?
like,
Okay.
oh yeah, it's bad. I can also speak to the staff training, staff and faculty training. I'm sorry, it's faculty training. So we have the Teaching Sustainability Initiative, which is a program facilitated through our office where we offer a financial incentive and a workshop for faculty that want to either incorporate sustainability into their syllabus for like a section, or if they want to have a whole class focused on sustainability. So they get a little bit more, actually they get twice as much more if they develop a whole new course for sustainability. So that's that program. For staff, we have our Eco Reps program where we offer monthly half-hour webinars on various sustainability topics. We try and gear it towards how they can make their offices or departments more sustainable, but sometimes it's also how they can, make their homes or, their personal lives more sustainable. So yeah, that's to answer that question.
And
Lauren,
then I
go
saw a
ahead
quick,
with your question.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Lauren?
Oh, go on. Okay. First of all, Megan and Liz, thank you both for presenting today. And I wanted to talk about electronics for a minute. I know each of you touched on those. I hazard that on campuses there are lots and lots of electronics. Probably every student has a computer and lots of other gadgets. Probably every faculty member has a university-issued computer and probably one of their own that they own, maybe at home, maybe it goes back and forth. So I'd like to learn more about how you're recycling those now. And I kind of know for Liz already, but feel free to answer for the rest of the group. And specifically, what you're doing to address the unique aspect of data on computers. Other recycling we have doesn't necessarily have data, important proprietary data, but computers usually do.
Sure. Our IT department manages that process for anything that is university owned, so has an asset tag, and that could be anything from a giant piece of research equipment to a standard laptop. So that's something where there's a partnership with a vendor that has that assured data destruction that meets the threshold that our IT department is comfortable with. And that process is sort of managed on an ongoing basis by ITS here at Loyola. We do have collection bins on all 3 campuses in our libraries for personal small electronic equipment. So that would be something closer to like a phone charger than a laptop size, but that's something that our facilities department then works with LRS to have a special pickup for those items.
For the UIC side of things, for all of our electronics, when a department wants to get rid of electronics, they have to fill out a property disposal form. So there is paperwork involved. And it's not always very easy to fill out. It's not very straightforward. So we do sometimes see electronics in our dumpsters, unfortunately. And also there is some perhaps misunderstanding in that it's called a property disposal form, and some units think that if they filled out the form, then they can just dispose of their electronics, and maybe that's how some of them end up in the dumpster. But once that form is filled out, then our campus movers come and they take the items to our warehouse where it's held until we have enough to fill a truck. And we have a contract with Sertoma Star Services, where they take everything and they destroy anything that has data, and they recycle whatever they can. So that's for campus-owned electronics. However, we do have we started doing a personal electronic recycling event 2 years ago where we've partnered with PCs for People, collecting, whatever PCs for People will accept. And we've gotten a good amount of material through that. And I've only held it once a year for the past 2 years, but in the interim, people are always asking when the next one's going to be. So there is definitely demand, and we definitely want to see more electronic recycling, especially because of the issues with the lithium rechargeable batteries. So there's definitely a need for it.
All right, a few more questions in the chat, and we'll try to get through them before the end of the hour here. Megan, Liz, for colleges that do not have robust programs like yours, what top 3 recommendations, suggestions would you give them to get started on the path to sustainability?
That's a big question. I was thinking about this. I think one thing that is kind of a unique opportunity for higher ed institutions is kind of the student demands, the student values. And so I think finding whether that's a student government or a student club and kind of really connecting in so they can be vocal about what it is that they'd like to see on campus. That's something that may not exist for other types of institutions. So taking advantage of that student voice and the importance that administration can place on a student voice is really great. One other thing I was thinking of is we have a lot of programs that started off really small and can be scalable without a lot of additional effort. So our compost bucket program is one where we have student staffed drop-offs, and so the only real cost for that is the 2 hours of student worker time each week, and then the buckets for people who want to participate, since all the students have to, even if they have it at their off-campus apartment, or any employees that have it in their offices or their classrooms, they bring them to a central location for drop-off once a week and swap out their bucket. And so that program has been able to grow to in the hundreds of participants with essentially the same level of effort as it is for 10 participants. So I think identifying programs like that can grow and can reach folks without kind of significant added cost would be a great way to start. I'll have to think about my third. Liz, do you want to jump in?
I don't know if I'm going to do 3, but I will say to get started, I know it's hard, is to find the people that already want to see this happen. And so for UIC, convening a committee, which became our Chancellor's Committee for Sustainability and Energy, which had stakeholders and interested parties across campus that wanted to see us have energy reduction and recycling and waste reduction, and be more responsible with our water usage and transportation. Those people are out there, and they're just waiting to be called on to share their opinions and advance some of these goals at a campus level. So getting those people together to talk to each other and put these goals down in writing, and getting leadership to sign off on it is really impactful. Also doing a waste audit. You're never going to be able to start reducing your waste until you know what is in there. And that'll help you understand what your targets should be. What are the biggest missed opportunities for recycling or waste reduction? So for UIC, composting is a huge one. So I guess that's 2. I'll have to think about 3 as well.
Yeah. I did come up with a third. So I think the opportunities now with the Inflation Reduction Act are really powerful, with the adjustment where it's not just tax credits. So a nonprofit institution can actually take advantage of those direct pay opportunities. We're getting 30% back for a new geothermal installation on our campus. So that's really significant and is helping us move a lot faster towards our decarbonization and our climate action goals related to that. So I think taking a look for your institution on what may be available with that change for direct pay, because that opens a lot of opportunities that were not previously there for nonprofits.
Do either of you partner with TerraCycle?
We do for our pens and markers.
We have a few small TerraCycle programs in that hard to recycle center. The one that we pay for is disposable masks, and that was a request from our student government when we had a mask mandate on campus coming back from COVID, that there was an option for that. So that's our one paid program with them. And then otherwise we take advantage of some of their free programs.
The next question was answered a little bit in the chat, but I'll just read it anyways. You could elaborate. How is trash weighed by hauler? Do you front load trucks have scales, and are they even certified scales, or all trash hauled out by larger containers that go to a certified scale to weigh material? To either of the speakers.
Yeah, I put this in the chat, but we have a combination with LRS of real weights from our compactors. We've got a large 13-yard organics compactor on our Lakeshore campus, and then a few trash and recycling compactors throughout. So real weights from those, and then weight volume estimates from our other containers, which is what we're working on to improve those numbers that we get. We have worked with LRS to agree to some right-along route audits so we can get a sense of, are these containers overflowing? Are they half full? And be able to both make the reporting more accurate, but also kind of continuously improve our service levels with them.
We do, for our containers, we do a volume to weight conversion as one way to measure. And then also the trucks are scaled when they go to the transfer station.
Elizabeth, you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for hosting this. Also, I'll mention I'm a proud graduate of Loyola's Masters in Sustainability program.
Awesome.
So where I'm at, I'm kind of starting from pretty close to the ground level, and I'm curious how you balance the need for data to inform programs and just trying things, right? Because it feels almost like every time you get to want to try something, you're thinking about the data you need for the buy-in and how you sort of balance prioritizing one over the other when you're first starting out.
Yeah, I don't think I have a magic answer to that. It's certainly always a challenge in any sustainability field. And for higher ed specifically, we're really committed to the STARS reporting through ASHE. And that is a very labor-intensive process to collect all of that data. And you kind of find yourself saying, how long can I spend crunching numbers and reporting on what we're doing and versus actually doing the work on that? So I think that's just a challenge, and being able to really capture where there are success stories and partner with communications to kind of build on that and take advantage of where you do have good numbers, because so much of it you're relying on case studies from other universities or kind of other factors besides those hard numbers. So no magic answer, just commiserate that's definitely a factor. Liz, do you have the magic answer?
Do not, but data helps a lot of people understand these problems. And so we try and use data as much as we can. But it's important to have your goals set up before you start on a project. And if you need data for that baseline, metric for what you're trying to do, that definitely helps tell the story.
Another question. Loyola is aiming to meet its Scope 1 and 2 carbon neutrality by next year. What were some of the biggest challenges in reaching this milestone, and what advice would you give other institutions working towards similar goals?
Yeah, great question. So Scope 2 was really exciting. We were able to, over the series of years, working with what used to be called Customer First Renewables and is now named Coho, to figure out what was going to be the best kind of power purchase agreement for Loyola's situation. So we have a 12-year agreement where we are signed on to a solar farm that is in Illinois by Sangamon and Morgan counties. It's the largest solar farm east of the Mississippi. And we're off-takers along with the city of Chicago and Cook County, and really excited to kind of have that be a sort of large multi-year, all of our electricity agreement, as opposed to some of the more spread out unbundled rec purchasing we were doing in the past. So that was a big piece of it. The Scope 1 emissions, thinking about our vehicle fuel and natural gas, that's something that has a longer tail for that full decarbonization, turning off the pipe for natural gas. We've got students living in residence halls in January and in Chicago, so we are not at the point where we've been able to have fully electric heating for our buildings yet across the board. So we did convene a committee of faculty and staff and students to come up with a carbon credit procurement committee and find a way to purchase those carbon credits in combination with a full campus decarbonization plan. That's kind of that interim of claiming that Scope 1 carbon neutrality with the big asterisk of saying this is only as a part of a larger decarbonization plan. That was a lot of like carbon speak. If there's anything I can give more detail on or share, let me know.
All right, final question for the hour. Both universities mentioned composting programs. Could you both share a little more about the challenges and successes you've experienced in expanding composting across campuses, particularly in areas beyond dining halls?
I can
Liz,
go
you want to start?
first.
Sure.
I can go first.
Sure.
So the challenges, we've been very successful back of house. So we started our composting program in 2013 with one of our student centers. We've worked with a very good hauler, Collective Resource Compost Cooperative, who's been a wonderful partner in this. So we compost at both of our student centers now, also our hospital, and then our forum, which is a place where we hold events. Back of house is kind of easy to do because you train the staff and they get it and they keep doing it. Front of house has its definite challenges because not only do you have to train the students, you have to train faculty and staff that you still have to define composting for a lot of these folks. And then also since, we are both campuses within a very densely populated city, we get a lot of visitors from outside of campus that, again, composting might be very unfamiliar to them. So to ask them to do some sort of front of house composting is challenging. That paired with all the materials that come with food that may or may not be compostable. A lot of people will confuse styrofoam for something that's compostable. So there's just a lot of contamination that ends up happening. We did pilot in our School of Public Health, we piloted a front of house composting program, and some people were really enthusiastic, did a really good job, and some people just didn't know what that new bin was for, and they contaminated it. So it was kind of a flop, and we were hoping so much for it to be successful, but it didn't work. Our campus wasn't ready for it. So what we are looking at now, and we do have funding for it through our sustainability fund, which I didn't mention earlier, but all students pay $6 a semester into a sustainability fund, and students can write proposals for how to spend that money on campus for sustainability projects. So we were awarded $56,000 to launch a post-consumer composting collection, and we're going to work with Big Belly for getting containers outdoors that will be locked. And they either do like a RFID, like swipe card, or a code where they can then open the container and put it in. So it'll be required that they do signups to be a part of that program and do like a quick training. I had talked to Megan like a year or two ago about this program. Also, Illinois State has another similar program that I talked to them as well. So UIC is hoping to kind of launch it that way. We also looked at UC Berkeley, where they do a post-consumer compost collection outdoors, and they don't have contamination issues. And it's probably in large part because the culture is maybe 20 or so years ahead of what, of how we operate here in the Midwest. So, I mean, I think it takes programs like these where you kind of guard it a little bit more and get people used to it and train them to get composting more normalized here, I would say.
I would wholeheartedly agree with everything that Liz said. One of the ways that we've been trying to expand comfort and familiarity with recycling with composting is some of these large events where we have, big all-campus picnics or things around our commencement or student convocation. And this is something where the event organizers will work with us, and we provide all of the bins and bin liners and signage and training, and they provide the volunteers, kind of the same number of volunteers they would need to check folks in or run a raffle, anything like that. We kind of build in that expectation that there's also zero waste volunteers. So we're able to have someone at the bin to help folks and answer any questions and prevent some of that contamination. And then also just increase the number of people at Loyola who feel comfortable and are trained with working at zero waste stations. So that's been a way that we've been working to grow here at Loyola for the front of house side.
All right, well, we are at the end. I would like to thank you all for attending today's Lunch and Learn session brought to you by the Illinois Recycling Foundation. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our speakers for sharing their valuable insights and expertise with us this afternoon. Your contributions have truly enriched my afternoon, so I'm especially thankful. I'm also excited to announce our next Lunch and Learn is scheduled for November 14th at noon. The topic will be park sustainability, which I'm sure will be great interest to many of you. I hope to see you all there. Once again, thank you for your time and participation this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the next one on November 14th. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.